Live from VentureX Studios, it's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
Well, good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome to the week. We're getting very close to Thanksgiving time, and we just can't wait for Thanksgiving. A lot to be thankful for. Crazy year, but lots to be thankful for anyways. And one of the things that we are always thankful for on JP, Kathy, and the crew is our dear friend, our medical correspondent, our medical expert, Dr. Norm Clothier. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
Well,
Thanks.
good
Happy
morning.
mid-November.
Yes, there you go. Happy
mid-November. Yeah, it is hard to believe that we're almost, I remember all the people dreading, 2020, of course, and wanting 2021 to be here, and all of a sudden it's all over, and it's not real different. There's a little more sign of hope, but it's interesting. The changes. So here we are already 6 weeks from the end of the year.
Which is crazy. So we're about to be in 2022 and everybody just keeps thinking, okay, this is the year that we get back to normal, but I don't know what normal is.
No.
I don't know what that looks like. We shall see. You are covering an important topic that's always near and dear to myself and to my family. We're allergy sufferers, except for my son right now, who's miraculously the only one on allergy shots. Go figure. He's the only one allergy free. Maybe the rest of us should get to the allergy doctor. But
you mean seeing a doctor and getting a respected treatment rather than just having around on Facebook?
What is that about? Well, and that's the thing.
Amazing.
Dr. Clothier, there are so many folks. Finally, people are talking about the flu again because it wasn't like the flu just went away. The flu is still around. I've had a couple of folks who've gotten hit pretty hard with the flu this season. So, but how do we know? And especially now, you can be in a grocery store and you can sneeze or sniffle or kind of, clear your throat. And it's almost like you have to look around and say, it's not COVID. I've just got allergies, so whatever. Yes. So help us with the difference.
It's very difficult because there are so many crossover symptoms. And of course, the reason is we're talking about respiratory symptoms.
Yes.
So there's only a certain subset of respiratory symptoms you can have, right? You can have congestion, you can have runny nose, you can sneeze, you can cough, you can rub your nose, you can rub your eyes, you could have eye discharge like itchy eyes, and a little bit of sore throat, and you can have sinus pressure. That's really about all you can have with sinus symptoms or upper respiratory symptoms. So it's hard to sort that out. So the best correlation, and people are trying very hard to try to, sort of decide how to sort out one illness from another. And of course, the illnesses would be common cold, which has been around forever and we've never found a cure. One type of coronavirus, or several types rather, do cause common colds. Then there's COVID-19, which is a clearly meaner virus that and that's the difference there. And then there's influenza, then there's just allergies, and of course you can have an inflammatory congestion that's not pollen related to so-called non-allergic rhinitis. And that's like if you clean out the garage, you get a ton of dust. It may or may not actually be allergies. It may be the chemical irritation of the dust and the stored up stuff, for instance. So or like smoke exposure.
Yes.
Those are all non-allergic rhinitis deals. So the best way to sort that out is, strangely enough, sore throat doesn't seem to happen much with either flu or coronavirus. And, that's just one of those kind of crazy things. There are other bacteria that can cause it, other viruses. There's, of course, the ever notorious strep throat, which most people know they have if they have it because it feels like glass in the throat. And it really hurts to swallow.
Right.
But that is, interestingly, not really correlated with COVID-19, for instance, or influenza. So then we get into the more difficult realm of influenza versus COVID. And the biggest difference may be the loss of taste or smell with COVID. And usually with influenza, you may lose appetite. You may, feel horrible. Most people tell me they feel like they're going to die. Or feel like they've been run over by a truck.
Yes.
And I'm not making those things up because people really do feel that lousy.
Right.
And so but the challenge is, of course, there are people with COVID-19 that tell me that, but more people have influenza who have the severe body aches, extreme dry cough, and usually a high fever, 102.5 or more. And so, of course, now that both are minimalized by having a vaccine, then, we hope that people, of course, will get those vaccines and reduce the risk of illness and the severity. And I'll tell you, the correlation, I've always said this for 20 plus years of influenza treatment with the shot. I think there are some things that people really need to realize. One is that you cannot get the flu from the shot. It doesn't matter how many times you've said, every time I get the shot, I get
I get the flu, yeah.
It doesn't matter what your neighbor says or the person on Facebook. You cannot get the flu. The only way you can get the flu from a flu immunization is the nasal spray is a live virus that's made to be a tiny dose of live virus to challenge the body with getting the flu, forming immunity, and then, moving forward from there, being ready to face the big flu to get it.
Right.
The injection, so therefore, by definition, the flu shot does not give people the flu because it is a purified protein from the flu, and it is made to allow the body to form antibodies that will then respond if you are faced with influenza. So, as is true with COVID shots, and I want to make sure people understand this because I think it's important, that does not mean a flu viral particle will never touch the body. And so, if you get your flu shot and you get somebody who sneezes or coughs flu into your face, for instance, you may get a very mild case before you start to form the immune response and then fight it off successfully. So when I see people in the office who feel like they're sick and have had the flu shot, they sit up and say, boy, this kind of feels like the flu. It's not that severe, but it's there. And that may very well be influenza in somebody who had the flu shot who is successfully fighting it off. So it's not 100% protection at every second of the day.
Right.
And the people who get influenza who have not had the flu shot, in opposition to sitting up and saying they feel kind of sick, are often literally like laying on the table under a blanket saying, oh, I feel horrible. I can't even move. I can't sit up. And those people have influenza without the immunization and are much sicker. And so that's a very good representation, too, of how the COVID vaccines are working, is that people may pick up some viral particles. That's life. You breathe, you can pick up some viral particles. But if you have immunity ready to go to fight it off, you have minimal symptoms and maybe none. You may be an asymptomatic carrier, but you don't get the overwhelming syndrome in which we see people in the hospital, intubated, dead, things like that. So it is a very protective factor. Now, I hear a lot of people talk about everything from vitamin C to echinacea to elderberry. All those things may have a little bit of an effect in heading off severity of symptoms with influenza. The problem is that despite Dr. Linus Pauling's life work being to prove that vitamin C caused no infection or reduced infection, he never could prove it. He has now passed away because he worked many years ago. And many other people have tried to prove that vitamin C helps. And I do think that many people who take vitamin C feel better, but the actual rate of infection is the same. And I think the reason is that you still can get viral particles into your body if you take vitamin C or if you don't.
Well, and Dr. Clothier, and it's interesting. And again, we're always saying, and I know you say this as well. Absolutely, take your vitamins. Eat healthy, walk, hydrate. All of the good advice you always give us. But you'll see there are medications or supplements that are out there, and they'll be like, this reduces the time, the duration of your flu or of your cold. So you're saying you're going to have the flu. If you're going to have it for 5 days or 7 days or whatever, you're going to have it for that amount of time. So basically, these supplements that are out there, that's false advertising. You may feel better because of the increased vitamins, is what you're saying?
Yeah, you might.
Okay.
And I tell you, you won't get as sick if you have been vaccinated.
Okay.
Almost always. I mean, unless you have some other immunosuppressive thing, or you get just overwhelmingly swarmed with viral particles. You know, if you walk in a room of 6 people all coughing with the flu, you're
Yeah.
going to get a higher viral load. And, you know, than you would if you pass by somebody in the store that coughs and you pick up a few particles
Right.
in the air. So a lot of it's about the viral load. But yes, you know, the classic issue that many people don't want to even think about, but is true, is that supplements do not have to have studies that are double-blinded, placebo-controlled studies to show that there is improvement. You could, you know, advertise whatever you want on a supplement, and sometimes the FDA comes down on that if people are specifically identifying a disease that it'll help treat. There was a case of a local supplement maker a few years ago that was claiming reduced risk of infection with cystic fibrosis with their supplement. That was so specific that the authorities came down on that and said, you have no information that proves this. And so they were fined and had to quit advertising that. But that, as opposed to a prescription medicine that must prove what it does and give you numbers on that and such for the
Right.
efficacy, the supplements do not have to. And I believe that's largely why, you know, so many people talk about, oh, I take zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D, and so I won't get COVID. Well, that's not true. You still can get viral particles. The only truth there is that zinc does have some antiviral properties, some. It's not perfect, but I would suggest it's somewhere in the realm of, you know, reducing the effect of the virus once the virus hits the body. And then vitamin D only has been found that people with a normal vitamin D already seem to have less intensity of symptoms when hospitalized with COVID.
Right.
And so it doesn't mean you won't get it. It may mean you end up in the hospital with it, and maybe you won't be as sick. But those are not reasons to not get a vaccine, for instance, if you take vitamin D or zinc or vitamin C. And vitamin C is actually still no correlation to improvement, despite the fact that people would love for that to be true. It just hasn't been shown to be true. So, you know, I think you do have to be kind of careful about how much faith you put in supplements, because there's really not a great basis for faith in those. And the other challenge, and we hit the 2-year mark on COVID-19 being identified back on October 27th. So it's been now 2 years and 2 weeks since we've known about COVID-19. And, you know, I would suggest that, being realistic about it, it is shockingly amazing that we have 3 vaccines, we have monoclonal antibodies, we have other ideas as a treatment just in 2 years. And we just don't know the long-term effects of the virus. If you get the virus, we don't know exactly how mutagenic it is, how many mutations will come in the next few months. And we don't know how much supplements can help with the long run, the long term. You know, if you heard the first couple of weeks, oh, you know, vitamin C, zinc, and vitamin D are helpful, well, you know, that's a nice bit of information, but nobody had any evidence more than a handful of weeks on that.
Right.
And we just have to be real about that, I think, you know, and it's, again, I would say it's shocking that we have all the progress we've had in just 2 years. You know, if you think about AIDS was defined back in the late 1980s, and there still hasn't been any successful vaccine because of the mutagenic nature of the virus and such. And the reason, you know, there's nothing weird about boosters. I'm now hearing all kinds of comments about, oh, you know, that must not have been much of a shot if there's a booster. Well, nearly every vaccine has a booster. And the reason is people's bodies are dynamic, and they change in terms of having antibodies and immune response, and the virus changes with mutagenic potential so that it changes to adapt to a host that can carry it to the next person, for instance. So,
Right.
you know, with all those changes, there's no surprise. We've had an annual flu shot for ages. We have, you know, boosters on tetanus and flu shot and pneumonia shots and shingles. And, you know, it's the nature of the business. You have dynamic humans, you have dynamic viruses. And
Right.
that combination is a challenge. So this fall, too, we've had a lot of allergies, a lot of ragweed, and every time we have a windstorm that almost blows your house down, it blows stuff in. And I just want to comment to sort out allergies from COVID, from influenza, from strep, and all that. It's usually the gut feeling, frankly, of, oh, this is what I get every fall when I sniff and sneeze. And of course, allergies are not expected to cause fever. And if you have fever, you probably have infection because there are no other things that typically cause fever. I don't want to get into all the other obscure things that can, but allergies alone should not cause fever. If you have fever, you're likely ill. If you
Right.
don't have fever and you sneeze and you feel like you do every fall, you likely have your pollen allergies. And so that's the other thing to sort out there. I would encourage, we're at 10 days out from Thanksgiving.
Yes.
If you're sick, you need to excuse yourself from a family gathering. Don't excommunicate yourself from the family, but just gently say, I'm sick and I think I'll join on Zoom or phone or FaceTime or call, or send a note or whatever. But I guess the phone and the call are the same. But anyway, it's just important to not infect your relatives. Don't end up 10 days after the holiday having regret because you've had an elderly relative pass away from infection. And I think, too, we do see people with pneumonia at this time of the year more than others. And that's probably the influence of influenza. It's certainly the influence of COVID in the last 2 winters. And if you start to get really sick, like you feel short of breath, you feel, like your cough is super heavy, if you're coughing up stuff, if you cough up any blood, things like that where you just feel ill and usually have high fever and extreme fatigue, you need to see a doctor.
Right.
You need to get a chest x-ray. You need to see what's going on. Don't try to be the hero riding out the storm and then stumble into Thanksgiving hoping you're okay because, you just blew your nose and don't make people sick. Just really respect other people. I think it's just important. I'm amazed how many stories I'm still hearing about people who got sick last year at the holidays. And almost always the story goes something like, oh, we had a cousin who said they had a little fever, but it was just a low-grade fever.
Yeah.
It didn't seem to be a big deal. And then 11 out of 15 people end up getting COVID after that. I think you just have to be respectful of the fact that it's a mean virus. Influenza is a mean virus. Every year, 20 to 40,000 people die of influenza with COVID in America. And with COVID in the last year, there have been an average of 350,000 per year, so more than 10 times as many. And that's why we need to respect COVID too.
Well, and the thing is, like with the flu, and again, it's I use the analogy, and even if your kids are grown, you still know this as a parent. If your kid has fever, if they are sick, you don't send them to school. So why would you go to a family party kind of a thing? And again, and
only
even
if you hate your family.
I want them all to get sick, which is horrible.
It's
But
bad, isn't it?
but the thing is, it's like Dr. Clothier, even when COVID wasn't around, did you want to
Sure.
you want to give your family strep throat or the flu? So I think even, nowadays you want to be even more diligent. And the great thing is you can FaceTime or Skype or, video with somebody, have somebody, drop off a to-go plate, at your door if you even feel like eating. Just use your head. Just use your head.
Yes, the brain's a terrible thing to lose, and so you do want to definitely use it. And, it is interesting because I think in the COVID era, it has raised the conversation level about illness symptoms.
Right.
I think in the past, people would say, oh, I'm not that sick, but sick is sick, and some people are more susceptible to infection than others. That's the other thing I hear with people saying, oh, I had COVID in June and I was only sick for 4 days. And I think, well, then you are very fortunate.
Yes.
You're one who got through it very well. You don't know if your spouse, your child, your parent, your grandparent, your uncle, whatever, will get through it that well. So you just can't go and infect them and say, oh, I'm not feeling that bad. They won't feel that bad. You just don't want to have that factor going on, And so just be careful. And as you already mentioned, it's always important to exercise, be smart about nutrition, think before you eat, don't overdo, don't leave turkey sitting out to where it'll get infected, because it gets infected quickly at room temperature. It gets, the potential to cause you a gastroenteritis.
Yes.
And it's absolutely worth, that I go walking every day. If Thursday morning of Thanksgiving, go get a walk or a walk after lunch. Go out and get some activity. Don't be a glutton and just stay bloated all day. Just, have a plan, enjoy what you like, don't overdo, and don't make yourself sick.
Yep. And again, I think it's just really simple. And these are things, Dr. Clothier, again, even before COVID, you've been with JP and I on the radio for years and years and years now, and you're always talking about just basic common sense things. And I go back to, and this is something you compared it to years ago, would you send your kid to school if they had fever, even a low grade fever? Low grade fever is a fever. The answer is no. So just be smart about it. And then, like I said, and I just feel like anytime I'm in the store, and I do suffer from allergies, if I sneeze, if there's anyone close to me, I'm like, I have horrible allergies or I have asthma. It's so funny how, don't you feel like in this, current COVID world, you have to say that.
Guilty dog barks first, right? Oh, just kidding. But you're right. I mean, it's weird. A year and a half ago, back in the peak of no information on COVID, when we thought it was on every surface and there was no vaccine, whatever. I remember my wife and I were walking down the street on our morning walk, and a guy was walking the other way, and he coughed, and we looked at each other like, oh, and I thought to myself, a year ago, we would never have thought about that. We were outside. We were fine. Obviously, this was fine. But it's weird how, we're all on edge about that, because you can't help it to be on edge when you hear about it all the time.
Right.
So, yeah, I think, you just have to plan to cover your mouth when you cough, sneeze, the old cough into the elbow, sneeze into something other than somebody's face. And then, have some process where you can wash and clean up so that you don't infect anybody with anything. Because even though you're certain you have allergies, there is a fear factor. There's a bias. And, also some people have allergies will get COVID. Some people have allergies will get influenza. Yeah. So you don't know when you turn that corner. So you got to just be careful.
Yeah, just be smart. Use common sense. Common sense.
And if 12 hours in you get a fever, there's more to it. And then you get even more cautious and more isolated. And, all those things just have to be done in a smart way. We don't want to kill out our society. That's a big deal. Well, have a great week.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you next Monday. And then I just appreciate all the information and advice. So just if you're currently sick, like Dr. Clothier said, probably not a good time to spend with your family during Thanksgiving. Skype, FaceTime.
We're getting within the number of days where you're going to have to be honest and careful. Yeah. And do that test. Do that COVID test before you go see a sick family member. And, if it's positive, don't say, that must be a false positive. It won't infect them. Just be honest. I'm amazed how many people want to skirt the rules.
Better safe than sorry. Well, Absolutely. Thank you. Have a blessed week, Dr. Clothier. We appreciate you.
Thank you, too.
All right. Some good information there. I think it's kind of just common sense. And let me know when JP hops into the waiting room. Just some common sense that you can practice. Sometimes common sense is not commonly practiced. So just be smart about it. And I think he gave some really good indicators as far as how do you know when it's your allergies? How do you know when it's the flu? How do you know when you need to stay home from work or school or don't go out in public and expose anybody else to anything? So just always good information to follow. And if you don't have a family doctor, get in touch with Dr. Norm Clothier. He has got great practice, and a number of members of the crew go there. JP is going to be hopping on here in just a second. I'm hearing exclusive. This just 10 minutes ago came across on text from Texas Monthly. I just somebody just sent this to me. Exclusive. Beto O'Rourke is running for governor. The former congressman from El Paso talked to Texas Monthly about why he thinks he can beat Greg Abbott, whether he regrets his 2020 presidential campaign, and whether his politics are too liberal for Texas. So, for months, Texas Democrats have failed to field a single serious candidate to challenge Governor Abbott's reelection bid. But today, Beto O'Rourke is announcing in Texas Monthly that he is entering the 2022 gubernatorial race. The former three-term congressman from El Paso, who had run losing bids for U.S. Senate against Ted Cruz in 2018 and for president in 2020, is not expected to face any serious challenger for his party's nomination. He will seek to become the first Democrat to win statewide office in Texas since 1994, ending the longest statewide losing streak in America for either party. It will be an uphill battle. Abbott, who has raised more than any other governor in U.S. history, had $55 million in his campaign treasury as of July 15th, the last time he reported the size of his war chest. January 15th, there will be another reporting. He reported, while polling has found that Abbott is not as popular as he once was, O'Rourke's numbers are worse. The University of Texas poll conducted in October found 43% of Texans approved of the job Abbott is doing, 48% disapproved, but only 35% respondents had a favorable opinion of O'Rourke. Against 50% had an unfavorable view. Running for Senate 3 years ago against a polarizing Cruz, this is Texas Monthly's words, not mine, O'Rourke had some success courting moderates. About 500,000 Texans who voted for Abbott also voted for O'Rourke. He lost by only 2.6%, but in 2019, seeking the Democratic nomination for president, the El Pasoan pivoted to appeal to a national base of Democrat primary voters and campaign contributors. He moved left on energy, guns, boy howdy he did, healthcare, immigration, providing the Abbott campaign with an arsenal of provocative quotes. It has packed into a preemptive 30-second digital attack titled Wrong Way O'Rourke. So I can't wait to watch this. I'll be watching that after the show. Interesting. So what are your thoughts on this? I think right now when we've got, if Brett, if you'll let me know as soon as JP's in on our Zoom. And this brings me to another article I want to pull up really quick about gas prices. You've got folks in Texas, well, all over the country. My goodness, look at Virginia. Literally look at Virginia. Look at New Jersey. But Virginia, we got the governorship, lieutenant governorship, the attorney general's office, handily, and that's a blue state. Texas is still a red state. I know people want to make us purple, and I just think, and having chaired along with Senator Paxton Victory 2020 here locally for the Republican Party, I saw trends 2 years ago with people being very fearful of government overreach. I think in 2022, you've got people who there's not a fear of government overreach. There is government overreach. I mean, my goodness, look at the bill that's, and I'd say bipartisan, whatever, the bill for infrastructure that's being signed in by Biden. Look at gas prices, and this is in Texas. Oh, it was JP. Hey, JP, I was just talking about Beto O'Rourke being in for governor. What are your thoughts on that? Huh? Oh, still connected. JP, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I was just talking about old Beto O'Rourke. He is officially in for running against Abbott for the governor of Texas. So what are your thoughts on that? And then, my gosh, have you seen, or has your family talked about, we're talking about rising gas prices. California sets a new record for high average gas price. And I know you've got family there. Their average gas price, JP, $4.67 a gallon. So I'd like to know what your thoughts are on Beto O'Rourke being in the race. Is he too liberal for Texas? And then would love to know what your family, who they're paying these gas prices in California.
So first and foremost, in regards to Beto O'Rourke, if the Republican Party doesn't get it together we will have a Democratic governor. Beto O'Rourke's going to have a ton of cash poured in. He's going to use anything and everything possible to expand the cracks that exist with our candidates running for governor. If we're not careful in our primary and we tear down our candidates, that's going to feed the flames in November. And so we need to be very careful how we tread, make sure that we don't tear down the house to try to build a new one, because if we do, then Beto O'Rourke will sneak in and become the governor of Texas. And so I think that we need to come together as a party and be very careful in our primary what we do and how we attack.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. I've seen, I think out of frustration, what I'm noticing, and when I talk to Republicans, they're so upset with what's going on in the administration that you feel like you have no control, and we really don't. I mean, literally, there's been so much government overreach by the Biden administration, and so instead of saying this is our common enemy, we've got to be really careful because we're turning in on each other and we're tearing each other to shreds. And again, now there's a ton of information from when Beto ran for president that the Abbott campaign will use against Beto, his own words. I'm going to come get your guns. I'm going to knock on your door. I'm going to do this, that, and the other. But then we don't want to give the Democrats so much fodder. I see on social media Republicans tearing into each other, and it just breaks my heart because I'm like, wow, if I'm the Democrat Party chairman, there are my campaign talking points. So, yeah, we do have to really be careful for that. But I feel like if the Republicans are smart, we're going to reach out and appeal to we the people, and say, hey, let's not Biden our Texas, And
if we act right,
yeah,
if we act right, there should be no reason we win the governor's house again.
Right.
And what do I mean by that? There are two major issues that will kill Beto's campaign as long as we're behaving. One is immigration. Immigration policies.
Amen.
We as Texans do not roll with the rest of the country. And we see what's going on. We feel what's going on. A Republican candidate for governor will win those counties that are along the border, which traditionally we do not. Donald Trump proved that in his presidential election, even when he lost to Biden. And so, number one, we win on border. So there's no doubt in my mind we can maintain the governor's house. Number two is going to be the economy. And Beto O'Rourke, he can't hide from the fact that he is a hyperinflation, spend the taxpayers' money, lie about taxing them about it, kind of candidate, because that's where he comes from. And so as long as, again, it is for us to lose. It kind of goes back to that Clayton Williams race with Ann Richards. Ann Richards didn't win the governorship. Clayton Williams won.
Yes. Boy, one of the biggest missteps in political history. Yeah, I think there's, JP, I think there are so many things, and then I want to get to an update about your dad because the crew's been asking about your dad, and we've all been praying for him. But I think there's so much material to use, especially right now. But Republicans we need to be smart, and we need to tell folks, hey, we're against government overreach. We want the border to be secure. Kind of I think if we get the philosophy going, don't Biden my Texas, that can help us up and down the ballot. But again, then we can't be, tearing each other to shreds and expect for us to survive in an ugly general and well-funded, like you said. JP, there's going to be so much money from California, from New York, from D.C. flooding into Texas. California, they love Beto. They love him. They will fund his campaign here in Texas.
Well, and they will. And again, the sad thing is that Texans don't line up with Beto at all on anything he believes in, especially along the border, especially economically.
Yep.
And so what we look at is this: can we not lose this race ourselves? Yep. Can we have gentlemen scholars running for governor And then when that's over, we support the person who wins so that we can win in November. And
Right.
again, that's going to be the big question. I mean, we seem to have forgotten and lost the Reagan way of doing things, and it's cost us in previous years. And so, that's my prediction. My prediction, as long as we can behave ourselves, take care of our own business
Yep.
and our own house, Beto O'Rourke will actually go down in flames. It's not going to be like the Ted Cruz.
Oh, it won't be
Senate
close
race.
like that. What you're right. Yep.
So
Yep. It's a
Joe
different
Biden has
time.
changed everything.
Yeah, Biden has absolutely changed everything. Okay, it's something that we want to know that we're anxious to talk about is your dad's progress. How's Stan the man doing? We love him. I hope you're telling him that he's got the crew praying for him. What's the latest update? Because I know your dad is still in the hospital.
So, first of all, thank you for all your prayers. We want to
Absolutely.
continue that. I'm a huge believer in prayer. Prayer equals energy, and positive energy to God is what routes back to those who are in need of prayer. And so we definitely don't want you to stop doing that. He's much better than when he went in 14 days ago. He is lucid. His mind is strong. They've got him stable. They have really, truly dug in this time and found what's going on. And we have a plan to go forward. We have a great cardiologist and Dr. Shalek, even allowing him to see his dog yesterday for 45 minutes.
Oh, I love those pictures.
Cool.
That was like the best. I
Yeah.
mean, what a great doctor, because literally, and anybody who doesn't know your dad, first of all, they should, but his love for his little pug Cleo is the sweetest thing. It is a great love story between Cleo and Stan. And when I saw that the doctor said, you know what, bring the dog into the hospital, there's no better medicine. There's just not.
Well, and it's been amazing. It's been fantastic. I knew that if I could get him to Baylor Scott and White Heart Hospital, that we would be in good hands.
Yeah.
And because again, I know that legacy cardiologists are the ones that staff that for the most part, and he's had a great kidney doctor. He's got a great cardiologist. They hit it off right off the bat. It was funny. The cardiologist said, "I don't normally spend this much time in a room. I got to go." He had spent so much time getting to know my dad, getting to know me, and yesterday was much the same way when he visited with him. So the big thing is that they found two veins that are very narrow in the back of his heart. They're going to go in and put stents in. It's just trying to figure out, will his kidneys support it? Because they also want to do an angiogram at the same time. And so his kidneys have been fantastic. So again, we're in much better shape than in the past. I know that when we've been in previous hospitals, it's been about patching him up and kicking him out. Yeah. And this is about finding what's wrong and fixing him. So we appreciate all the prayer and support. I feel for those folks who sleep on the couches in hospital bedrooms.
Oh, God bless you. When I went to bring y'all some real food, so to speak, the other night, I couldn't believe. I was like, "How are you even sleeping?" And I know you're not. I know you're up every couple of hours, because that could not be comfortable space.
Yeah, it's not. Plus, I check on my dad too every couple hours.
Yeah.
So but he's good, and so keep praying.
We
got
will.
big stuff coming. So
we will, and please keep us posted, and please let him know that we send our love and our prayers, and just he's on so many prayer lists, and just on a regular basis, several times a day, people are saying how's JP's dad. So please let him know that he's loved and prayed for.
I will absolutely do that. I will. Talking about my other family in California with gas prices. So a lot of those gas prices are going to be in like Orange County, Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, up in the mountains. The valley doesn't necessarily have those gas prices. But again, the valley is normally pretty conservative.
Right.
And so, it's rampant in vacation spots. It's rampant in big cities. Fresno, I think, is still hovering like just under $4 a gallon.
Okay.
So, but it's craziness. I mean, it takes all your income up. can't afford to drive to work.
No, I know. That's what's insane. So, now that you've got more people, now some offices are just, they're permanently shut down. People are working from home. But the folks who are having to go back into an office, and then think about it, well, we need all of these delivery trucks to be up and moving. We've got such a huge issue with the supply chain, the supply demand and supply chain. It's scary because it's ridiculous. Like I finally made a pledge to myself. I think I may have told you this the other day. I am not going to go to the grocery store and fill up with gas on the same day anymore because both of them tick me off so bad that I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to find one day a week that I fill up with gas, and it's not going to be the same day that I walk out of the grocery store. My groceries, and again, I'm a creature of habit, buy pretty much the same stuff or close to the same stuff each week, $19 more. And that's an increase from the last week. It's ridiculous, JP.
Yeah. Well, inflation's not done.
No.
I don't understand. I think it's funny that Biden said he had done with trickle-down economics. And so I guess he was excited about jumping into hyperinflation economics because that's where we're at. The price of food has jumped tremendously in the grocery store and in a restaurant. If you go out to restaurants regularly, the bottom line is this. The bottom line is that we have got to take back our country in the interim election.
Yeah. Yep.
There is just no doubt the midterms have to belong to us so we can shut this president down.
Amen.
So before he destroys us. I mean, his approval ratings on ABC, this is ABC, is 41%.
Wow. I didn't see that.
In the Washington Post, 39%. Wow. And these are these people love him.
I was going to say, these are the folks who dig his scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So those are his poll numbers.
Interesting. Well,
I guess we just need to get him a poll and wish him the best.
Yeah. Good luck with all that. Well, let's talk something fun. Let's talk some football.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, things are happening and they're moving fast. Let's talk college football first, and we'll end with the Dallas Cowboys. I can't call them the Cowgirls, that's for sure.
Boy, howdy, you can't after this game.
No, that's for sure. All right, so let's talk first and foremost, Notre Dame. What are they, Kathy?
They are Jesus's team. I don't know. Baylor might be. My husband would give you an argument on Baylor's Jesus's team right now.
They could be, although they lost to TCU.
Yes, so they did. Yes.
Over with the Boomer Sooner victory, but all joking aside, Notre Dame, number 6 in the country, beats Virginia 28-3, no problem. Arkansas takes LSU down. Definitely not LSU's year. They're ranked number 21. Arkansas is. They get back into the top 25. They win 16-13 in overtime. Number 25, NC State barely loses. Number 13, Wake Forest, 45-42. Here's the big humdinger, right? This is the one I don't get. So Baylor loses to TCU. Oklahoma State makes mincemeat pie out of TCU. They win that game 63-17.
Wow.
And I
mean, that's,
my head.
Yeah, 63 again. That's not a normal football number. That's a lower basketball number, but it's not a football number.
Yeah. That's crazy. Number 23, San Diego State handles Nevada 23-21. Number 4, Oregon. So, pardon me, Oregon has themselves in a position to talk national championship. Number 4, Oregon wins that game against Washington State, 38-24. Watch the Ducks. I have a feeling they're going to stay in the national championship spotlight. So watch the Oregon Ducks. Are they peaking at the right time? So we're going to find out. Another big game, and of course this one, if you are a Big 12 fan, the big game of the week would have been Oklahoma and Baylor.
Wowee. Yeah.
Yeah, Baylor comes out of a TCU loss, probably hungry and pissed off.
Oh, yeah, a little mortified, I would imagine, yeah.
Oklahoma can't seem to get it together at the quarterback position. Williams came in and won a few games. They thought he was the answer. Baylor's defense quickly showed them he wasn't. They bring Rattler in thinking, okay, Rattler can go deep against this Baylor defense. Yep, wrong. strike two. And Baylor comes out with a big win, 27-14. It's interesting. What I'm seeing on Facebook is, yeah, Oklahoma deserved to lose, but the way Baylor handled it at the end was just classless. Man, whatever. You lost. The Boomer Sooner caravan got pushed over the side, and Baylor wins 27-14, which now makes the Big 12 championship game very interesting.
Yes.
If Texas could have it all been Texas this year, even with that loss to Oklahoma, they'd be sitting right now in the Big 12 championship. As it looks right now, this is going to be a toss-up. You got Baylor, you got Oklahoma, and then you got to watch and see what Oklahoma State is going to do. And so it's going to be an interesting Big 12 championship game. I'm looking forward to that. It may be an all-Oklahoma Big 12 championship game. So buckle up and get ready because it's going to be a lot of fun. That is for sure.
Yeah, college football's
also,
been fun this season. It really has.
Yes, it has. It has not let down at all, that's for sure. All right, number 19, Wisconsin takes down Northwestern 35-7. No surprise there. Number 2, Alabama beats up on New Mexico State 59-3. Number 8, Michigan takes down the once-ranked Penn State Nittany Lions 21-17. Houston takes down Temple 37-8. And then Utah, number 24, Utah beats Arizona 38-29. You know, number 1, Georgia had an easy time with number 17, Tennessee. I will tell you that right now it looks pretty clear that Georgia has the beat on being pretty much the national champion. It's like they're playing kids out there, Kathy.
Yeah, it's been a fun season. It's been a fun season. I've got, as a matter of fact, real quick, JP, and you'll appreciate this. I wanted to save this for you for the show. Brett, if you can throw this up on the screen, and this is to mix a little fun in with our football today. I know you'll appreciate this. So I pulled this off of Marvell, a friend of ours, off her Facebook page. This meme is going around. So it says Alabama beat Arkansas, and Arkansas fired their coach. Alabama beat Tennessee, and Tennessee fired their coach. Alabama beat Auburn, and Auburn fired their coach. Inquiring minds want to know, how do we get the White House to play Alabama?
Right? That's pretty funny.
I know. I just love that.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I know. A girl
Just
can
kinda
dream.
It is. Round out our top 10. Big game. A&M had a chance to really put themselves back in the top 10. They go up to Mississippi at Ole Miss, and Ole Miss handled business. A&M could not get a handle on it, and so Ole Miss wins 29-19. That made me sad because I was hoping to see a Texas school in the top 10, but the Aggies dropped to number 16, and pretty much now they can kiss their hopes of maybe sneaking in through a back door by their win against Alabama into the national champion spotlight if certain games had happened certain ways. So it made me sad to see that Texas A&M not able to beat Ole Miss in Ole Miss. Ohio State, number 5, Ohio State beats Purdue 59-31. Interesting storyline here is that Purdue has been the giant killer up in the Big Ten. And Ohio State made no business with those guys and took them seriously. Number 7, Michigan State making a claim try to sneak into the national championship picture. They beat Maryland 40-21. So it's going to be interesting to see how they come about and pick the top 4 schools to go to the national championship pool. But you know what? That's what college football is all about.
Yep.
It's been a really fun college football season so far.
It has. So
all right,
what else has been fun?
Yeah, let's talk some Dallas Cowboys. As Jimmy Johnson would say,
yep.
How about them Cowboys?
Oh yeah, and I've got my Dallas Cowboys ball cap on. I've promised every Monday I would wear this if they after following a game win. So fun stuff. Wow.
Well, this week they made me look like a genius. Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott got it together, and when they're humming, nobody can touch their offense. They win 43-3. I predicted a 21-point or more victory, and so thank you, Cowboys, for making me look good. But the Dallas Cowboys are on fire. Their defense is on fire. You know, I think the Denver Broncos just had their number
They did.
last week.
Yeah, they did.
You know, but the Cowboys are back on fire again. Honestly, when you look at their schedule, I don't know that they lose a game for the rest of the season. I think they finish out with just 2 losses. And so, from my what do they say? From my lips to God's ears, right?
Yeah, from your lips to God's ears. Yeah, and you're right. I believe if you look at their schedule, literally, we should have fairly, you know, they should be the win column. They should be. So, gosh, do I jinx us and say, man, Super Bowl this year? Come on. I mean,
Well,
they looked really good.
Playoff.
Yeah, I know.
think you
Yeah.
can safely say
Oh
playoff
boy,
this
wouldn't it be
year.
great to be back in the Super Bowl though?
Well, sure. It's been a
Well,
while.
yeah, it's literally like I always say, JP. It was back when I was teaching high school at Plano East in the '90s. I have literally birthed 2 human beings who are both now over the age of 18. That's how long it's been since we've won a Super Bowl.
Yep. The good old days.
Yeah.
I feel like singing some kind of song. I don't know if it's Dolly Parton or what, but take me back to the good old days. Yeah, no doubt about it. I tell you, the biggest surprise this Sunday, I think, was the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know if they're just falling apart or what, but the Carolina Panthers go into Phoenix and beat the Cardinals at home 34-10. Embarrassing. And
Yeah.
the Cardinals showed so much promise early on. We'll have to see if Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals can bounce back after the Carolina Panthers shellacking of them. But goodness gracious, did not anticipate that. I did pick the Patriots to beat the Browns 45-7. I didn't pick that score, but I did say the Patriots would win that game, and they did at home 45-7. The Eagles bury the Broncos 30-13. The Vikings beat the Chargers in L.A. 27-20. The Seahawks just not making it happen this year, while the Green Bay Packers and the Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers win 17-0. The Rams and the 49ers play. That's going to be an excellent game today. Looking forward to that. And I picked the Kansas City Chiefs to win, and they did big.
They did, yeah. I know. I'm sure Michelle's happy.
There you go.
So Michelle, congratulations. Yeah, I figured
Exactly.
she'd be happy after that win. That's good. That's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. And so big time, big time pro football. When it all comes down to it, again, I don't see how the Cowboys don't win the East pretty easily. Right now, if you look at the NFC and how things are going in the NFC East, the Cowboys it's an embarrassing division again. The Cowboys are ahead they have 7 wins, 2 losses, while the Eagles are crawling in at 4-6. The Washington, still they don't have a mascot, is 3-6, and the New York Giants are 3-6. Again, I don't see the Cowboys not making the playoff. Big shock, though. Again, NFC West, the Cardinals are 8-2. They should really be 9-1, but they lose to Carolina. The Rams are 7-2, so they could draw with a victory tonight against the 49ers, a tie in the NFC West. The 49ers are limping at 3-5. The Seahawks are 3-6. In the North, the Packers are 8-2. Again, their nearest person is the Minnesota Vikings at 4-6. My poor Bears are 3-6. And then you've got the Lions where they always rest at 8-1.
Yep.
So they are at the bottom. And then you've got your boy Tom Brady. Got the Buccaneers sitting at 6-3 in the NFC South. The Saints are 5-4. Panthers are 5-5. And the Falcons are 4-5. So, Kathy, watch that NFC South. That's going to be an interesting battle down there, as there seems to be a lot of parity between the teams.
Yep. So interesting, and Tom Brady, gosh, he just his athleticism, especially at his age in the sport that he's in, you still deserves applause. You've got to give the boy some credit on that. He still is a solid athlete.
He does. In the AFC, Kathy, it's a coin toss. The only team that is showing to show any dominance at all is in the AFC South with the Titans. They're 8-2. Outside of that, the best record in the AFC is 6-3. The Chiefs are at 6-4 in the AFC West. They are one game ahead of the Chargers at 5-4, the Raiders at 5-4, and the Broncos at 5-5. The Bills, who we thought were going to be on fire, they are 6-3, interestingly enough, with the Patriots knocking on their heels with 6-4. So, I mean, there's just really no dominance except for the Tennessee Titans in the AFC South, and that is our NFL roundup.
Good stuff. College football has been phenomenal this season. I'm going to just agree wholeheartedly with you on that. And then the Cowboys, boy, they sure are fun to watch. This has been a fun season, and you can see social media just blows up after the Cowboy games. It did yesterday. So we always have hope. Us Cowboy fans, we're diehard. we deserve a win. Come on.
We deserve a win. I don't know that I believe in that now. I think
we want to win. How about that? We desperately want a Super Bowl. We just want to win. We do. It's been a long time coming for the Cowboys. A long time coming.
Yep. Well, with that being said, Kathy, I am off to Frisco ISD. It is time to help kids get back into school.
Love it. Yeah, we need to do one of these Mondays. We need to just talk about truancy. I'm in the education consulting world, and superintendents, not just all over the state of Texas, all over the country, are very concerned. Absences and getting kids graduated. It's become a big issue during COVID, so we need to do just a 15-minute segment one day talking about that. If you've got school-age kids or grandkids, you've got to make sure they're in school, even with COVID fears or what have you, or whatever the concern is. They need to be in school and they need to be behaving. Unfortunately, we're seeing a trend in the other way, JP.
Yeah,
scary.
I mean, most districts are looking at the 80s when it comes to attendance rates. I mean, it's something.
That's really so. Talk about that's one of those things. And again, we need to do a whole segment on this. You're talking about literally, and you and I have bounced around the term, a generation of uneducated kids. At this point, you're talking you're going to have fewer high school graduates than we did the generation before. Something's wrong with that. Just something's very wrong with that. Yeah. So we'll go push back the frontiers of darkness and save some kids. And again, we appreciate the prayers coming in for Stan, for JP's dad. We love your dad. So glad he got to spend time with that sweet Cleo yesterday. So anyways, prayers to your dad, prayers for the crew. Everybody have a blessed week, and we will see y'all soon.
See you soon.
Abraham George, Chairman of Collin County Republican. Hello, Patriots. I'm Abraham George, Chairman of Collin County Republican Party. I wanted to invite you to our special event on November 27th. It's a gubernatorial debate happening here in Frisco, Texas at the Embassy Suites. Then we will open at 9 a.m. and our debate will start at 10 a.m. We will have a straw poll at the end. It will be your choice, your chance to voice your opinion. Who do you want to be your next governor of Texas? I would look forward to seeing you there. Come up and sign up. Come on and sign up at CollinCountyGOP.org. You can get your tickets, and we would love to see you there. Thank you so much.